literally a bloodbath. Also, when the author was like, it gets dark, but also what Naya goes through is a lot because she's a goddess and like she can't die, I get it. It might be a 5-star. I know, it might be a 5-star or like a 4.5. Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. We are starting a weekly reading vlog. Right now I'm in the middle of The Goddess of. I'm like 15% of the way through, so that's going to be the focus of this first day of the vlog. These are the reading plans. I'm about to pack a little bag-a-rooney and we're gonna go read in the park for a little while because it's an absolutely beautiful day out and I want to take advantage of that. Hi babes, we are back. We read outside for like an hour and it's so beautiful out. It was insane. I don't know why I'm untying this. I was just gonna hold up my Kindle. Okay, so we are over 20% into The Goddess of. The summary for this book, we are following Naya as our main character. She has mommy issues, which unfortunately I can big relate to. Her mom is disappointed in her because her mom is a high goddess of the sea and her dad is also a high god. They're very powerful in this world. Gods and goddesses gain power by people like humans praying to them and worshiping them. Naya was born and she wasn't born the goddess of anything. We don't really know what her power is. Nothing has manifested for her, and because of that her mom is very disappointed in her. She treats her like she doesn't love her. She calls her useless because her mom has a very specific definition of love, I guess, which is just so sad. So we have that playing in the background and we meet Naya in the introduction scene when she is trying to flee the arranged marriage that her mother has set up for her. Naya is already cursed, but we don't really know like what that curse was, but she's so desperate to get out of this arranged marriage she summons the god of death and curses, who, y'all, I am hoping and praying that he becomes our love interest. Like, I have no idea who the love interest is at this point, but I really hope that it's him. She summons him. She says, please let me get out of here, help me escape. And he says, yeah, perfect, we can make a bargain, but to break your current curse, you're going to have to blindly accept a new one that's going to be worse than what you currently have. And she's terrified, but she says yes. She escapes to the mortal world, and now all we know is that she's trying to get to this city that has a lot of magic and witches. They switch between using the terms mages and witches, but she's trying to find her brother, Finian, who created this mortal city, and he lives in the mortal world, and it seems like he's one of the only family members that she's close to. So that is the setup. She's running away from her family, running away from her very toxic mother and this marriage. Apparently witches and like gods and goddesses don't get along. Like, there's something there that makes them dangerous to each other, and we don't know about that yet. So I'm hoping to read a bit more of this today. I'm gonna go on a walk soon with JMO and we're going to switch to listening to an audiobook. I don't know what we're gonna listen to yet. Just made it to part 2 in The Goddess of, and part 2 is called Abandon All Hope, which sounds crazy. What? Okay, I was losing a little bit of steam with this book, and then I was internally monologuing myself saying, you're being impatient and you need to just wait it out. But from the beginning scene of this book where we got like a lot of action, where she was like running away and then made it to the mortal world, there was a lot of downtime. I think it was to prove the point that Naya is so uneducated with the mortal world because the last time she was there was like 100 years ago. So people have like cell phones and she's like, what's a cell phone? Or people are going, she went grocery shopping in one scene and she's like, what is grocery shopping? But these are questions that are quite suspicious, and the person that she's with doesn't know that she's a goddess. So she's asking these like insane questions that a mortal would know if they were like in this world. So we had a lot of scenes that were extremely mundane, like just day-to-day life, like literally going grocery shopping, and she was talking about pushing the cart. And I was like, I'm so bored right now. Then she's like working at this brewery because Ronan, who she's with, owns the brewery. And so it's a lot of really mundane tasks, but it's adjusting the reader to her perspective of like, she's so naive and she's trying to figure out the way that the world works. Like she learns what a beer is for the first time. She eats pancakes for the first time. And she's a goddess, so she's trying to maintain this facade of feeling hunger, having to drink water, going to the bathroom, sleeping. Like those are all things that she doesn't have to do, but she's like in hiding. So I get why it was needed, but I'm happy that I think we're at like a turning point. And the last time I checked in, I was at like 20%. I'm now only at 35. So it wasn't a long time, but it was pretty boring. Chapter 12. So part 2 is called Abandon All Hope. And I think that this is where things are going to start to get dark, because I think I mentioned the content warnings at the beginning of this book said that because Naya is a goddess, things get dark, and the stuff that she goes through, oh my god, this piece of hair. The things that she goes through are like next level, and the author warns you about that because she's like, she's not immortal. She's a goddess that can't die. And so when things are happening, things get pretty bad. So deep breaths. I'm trying to get to, where am I at? Like 50% of this tonight, but I'm also going to start another book later tonight as well. We're going to be starting Fate of the Sun King. This book is much longer than I thought it was going to be because the other books in this series were, I mean, they read really quickly, so there's that, but I think that this book is 530 pages. Okay, that's not as bad as what I thought it was, but it's much, much longer. This is the third book in the Artifacts of Oranos series. I have been reading the series very, very casually, but I'm buddy reading it with my friend, Emmy, and she started it tonight. I don't know where she left off, but I want to get like at least 50 pages. And so I'll give updates on this, but because it's a third book, I will keep them very, very like general. And this series is about our main character, Lore. She, in the first book, like summary for the first book, she's a prisoner inside of this prison called Nostraza. People who are in this prison are like forgotten about. They're just like sent there to die. Not only do other prisoners kill each other, but like there's super harsh conditions. They don't get fed properly, like they're not taken care of. And so she gets sent to isolation. Isolation at this prison, if the prison is bad, isolation is literally this massive hole dug into the ground, and the prison is around this like forest. So it's literally in the forest, and she was sent there for like 2 weeks, so no one was going to talk to her for 2 weeks, and she doesn't get food or water. So like they sent her in this hole to die. And there's also monsters that live in this forest. Some mysterious person rescues her. She gets forced into competing in the Trials of the Sun King. Trials of the Sun King are these deadly trials where the Sun King uses those to like find a bride. She's mortal. All of the other contestants are fae that like chose to do the competition, and they have powers and all of this stuff. So she not only has to learn how to behave at court, how to dress like a lady, all of these things. It's not Regency era. I know that sounds kind of Regency, but she has to compete in these deadly trials and survive. And then the series just goes from there. The first book is so fast paced. It doesn't have like, I would say it has a very like approachable writing style. It is like new adult, but the first book, there's a lot of angst, I would say, in the first 2 books. Like we still haven't really had anything happen quite yet, and we're on book 3, but literally the author's note in this one said, I know that you have been waiting such a long time, very patiently. Don't worry, things happen in this one because I needed them to happen too. And so she knew what we wanted to see, which I'm very, very excited. So that's what we're gonna be starting later tonight. I will have a better update for you on Fate of the Sun King tomorrow. Oh my gosh, new filming spot. I have taken over Ross's work desk today because I wanted to use his standing desk for a little while. I feel like I've discovered a new place to film. He's not gonna be happy about it though. I have started reading Fate of the Sun King by Nisha J. Tooley. I actually don't know how you say her first name. I'm only on chapter 4, and all I need to say is that these, I don't know which one is which, but these book narrators are so good, especially the men that are narrating this book. For, I think we get a POV from Gabriel and we get a POV from Nadir. Listen to this voice, just listen to this.
I brushed past the lore, flinging open the door and descending the steps onto the busy street. I'm breaking my rule about using the front entrance.
It's actually so good. Like, but okay, so it's performed by Corbin King, Sunila Nankani, and Shane East. I don't know if Corbin King or Shane East, I don't know who's doing who. I don't know who is just speaking, but both of them are so good. Like, they're literally so good.
Gone is her kind smile, darkness reflecting in the azure swirl of her eyes.
Besties, my lips look a little insane because I just did a lip stain, so we're not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna talk about our book updates. I am like 2% away from halfway. Yeah, I'm at 48% in The Goddess of. I was reading this last night. I started late anyways, like I started reading this a little past 11 and I couldn't stop reading this until like 12:30. It has really started to pick up from the 35% mark all the way through where I just read. It was nonstop. It has started to get darker. I can see what Randy Gardner was saying with these trigger warnings, because at first we start off a little bit lighter. You know what I mean? Like, our girlie's on the run, but like nothing overly dark has happened. This last portion that I read, you really start to see that darkness come out. Like, it's actually insane. Her mother is psychotic. I can't get over, I cannot get over her mother. But at the same time, her mother is like this high goddess of the sea, one of the most powerful goddesses. And it really makes sense that her mother like doesn't have any humanity in her. She is just full high goddess mentality. Her other children, besides our main character Naya, are also psychotic. None of the bonds that we've met so far in terms of like coupled pairings have been because of love. They've been like someone's cursed to be with this other person, or they're just power couples. Like, they married and like had children for power. So I'm very curious how a romantic relationship is going to show up for Naya in this. I think that we do have her love interest, and you know what? I'm changing my tune about Ronan because of what just happened. It was so insane. It was bloody. It was high stakes. It was literally a bloodbath. Also, when the author was like, it gets dark, but also what Naya goes through is a lot, because she's a goddess and like she can't die. I get it. I listened to Fate of the Sun King a little bit yesterday and then more this morning when I was taking JMO for his WALK. I don't know what percent we're at in that book because I'm reading it on Audible and curses. They don't give us the percentage of the way through. But in this book, we have a character who is actively trying to discover their magic, do more with their magic. It's kind of an unknown question mark so far through the series. And one thing that I love is when a character is discovering their magic. There's also someone else that's helping them discover their magic, and the way that they interact, the way that like their magic like interacts with them, interacts with each other, I love it here. I love it so much. Very like tension building. It's incredible. So I'm having a good time with that. The other theme that's really popping out to me in this third book, Lore and her siblings in the whole series, like from book 1. They started off in Nostraza, which is like that horrible prison that like tortures people, right? That's so traumatic, and that's where they lived for a really long time. I want to say like 10 years or something. It was like a really long time. So they have so much trauma. Like they are bonded together and they are very close and tight-knit siblings because of everything that they went through together. But learning how to trust other people has been difficult for them at this point. And then also romantic love, I think especially for Lore, because of like what was done to her when she was in that prison, it's really difficult for her to want that and to like open up to people. So Lore is really struggling with that, and it's book 3, and it's like she has people that continue to show up for her throughout the whole series, and they are really proving themselves and proving that they're trustworthy, that they care for her, that they want to help her. And she's never had that before besides her siblings. And she's still, I mean, she's warming up to it at this point, but it's taken so long for her to get to that point, and I find that really realistic. Whereas if it had happened in like book 1 or book 2, like right away, for someone who's been through so much trauma and like taken advantage of and just like abused in certain ways, I just think it really lends itself well to Lore's character and her story. I think it makes a lot of sense. The only other thing is the writing style, I think, can be a bit over-explanatory. And maybe it's because Lore as a main character needs a lot of hand-holding, but it's told in third person. I don't need that much explanation. And it's like, sometimes it's like silly things that are being over-explained, like he shook his head because he disagreed with like this thing that was just explained in like the dialogue paragraph above, and I'm like, was that really necessary? You could have just said he shook his head, or like gone into the next dialogue. Like it's little things like that where I don't think that the writing style of the series is like super polished. I'm 40% of the way through. Yeah, it's feeling right now like a 3-star, but the endings are usually really big plot twists, a lot of action, and so that might change things for me. We will see. Those are the reading updates so far. I know that was a lot, but I haven't checked in the past couple days. When she says, "You've become not just my rock, but my soft landing too." It's so cute. It's so cute. We made it to 57% in Fate of the Sun King. I'm still feeling like it's still fun to read. I don't mean to be like, this is 3-star. No, I'm really enjoying it. The romance, I'm not as gagged by the romance as I thought I was going to be in this one. I feel like the plot is really good in these books, but the romance is more on the cute side, even though it is new adult and there is spice. And the spice was really good, but it was much more cute, and I feel like that's what Lore needs after everything that she's been through. But I do like, in a fantasy romance, I like it to be a little bit more like at each other's throats, like enemies to lovers, stuff like that. And this isn't those tropes. I don't even know how you would describe their romance. But yeah, it's very cute, caring for each other, there for each other when they need support, like stuff like that. And so that has been really cute. The other topic that I meant to mention, or like theme through these books, they talk about class a lot, and Lore coming from that like prison background, I mean like wrongfully imprisoned as well, she has seen and lived how like the lower classes in the society live, and it's really unjust and it's unfair, and she is this like agent of change throughout the entire series, like not just this book, but it starts in book 1, and I like how that theme has continued through the series and it's remained very constant. It's not always a focal point in the series, but it is something that lore continues to see everywhere that they're going, because they travel like a little bit throughout the series, and I like that this author is like drawing attention to that and continuing to bring it to the surface, because so many other higher class people who lore is now interacting with just like haven't paid attention to this, or like haven't thought about it. They don't see it as like a pressing need to change, even though they might not agree with the current setup. They're just like, this is what it is essentially, and lore is like, no, we're gonna do something about this. Like, this is not right, and I'm not gonna stand for this anymore. And so we love her for that. We love her for that. So I made it to my stopping point. I wanted to get to chapter either 29 or 30, and we stopped at chapter 30 with that audiobook, and now I'm going to switch to The Goddess of for a little while. Hi pals, I am watching some of Cassidy's Patreon sprints right now because I need accountability to read these books. It's currently Thursday. I'm still trying to finish Fate of the Sun King, and then I did not read The Goddess of last night, like literally at all. I did start making a Shrek bucket hat. It kind of looks like an acorn right now. So I'm crocheting, I'm listening to this audiobook. I'm currently on chapter 36. I only have 2.5 hours left of the audiobook, and I'm trying to get to chapter 44. So I don't know where that will leave me, but in terms of like time left in the audio, but definitely doable to finish it tomorrow. I think my problem is that I can't sit still to like read physically, because every time I sit down and pick up my Kindle to read that book, I'm enjoying it. Like, I know that once I get back into it, I'm gonna be like in it, but sitting still is my problem, because all I want to do is play video games like when I'm sitting still. It's so bad. This is not what I needed going into romantasy-a-thon. I'm going to walk on my walking pad in a little bit, and that's what I'm going to read on my Kindle. And I think that like moving and reading will help me just like get back into dial in and focus, because the problem is not the books that I'm reading. The problem is my brain at this point. It's just that like on stream today we were playing Kana Bridge of Spirits, which is just the most adorable. It looks like a Pixar animated game, but it does have like combat that's like totally like G-rated, but you do like fight evil spirits. You're trying to help spirits like pass over into the spirit world, and there are these adorable little rot sprites, or like rot spirits. I will pop up a picture of one. They're so cute. I think it's going to be my next crochet project, because I just like need one. And this is an indie game that no one knows about it except for like on Twitch. Like basically everyone in chat was like, I need to buy this game. It looks so freaking cute. Like, I can't deal with it. And it makes me happy that like more people are playing it, because I also didn't know about it until very, very recently, and I'm obsessed with it. So we've been playing that. I've been thinking about that game all day, along with Phasmo. So like, I'm just, I don't know why I did this to myself. But anyways, I'm going to continue. You're going to get some crocheting content, because we're going to be crocheting more rounds on this little hat. I've done all of this today, by the way, in the past like, how long have I been watching these sprints? 2 hours. This is what I have done so far. It is Friday. We're finishing these books today. I only have a little over, I have an hour and 20 minutes left in the audiobook for Fate of the Sun King. Can I be really honest? I'm feeling very lukewarm about this book. Like, I definitely think it's a 3-star, but like actually a low 3-star, because I haven't been like super into any part of this book, which is sad, because I think that these characters are likable. I like the story that has been told with them so far, but this book feels very different from the other two, especially the relationship that Lore has with her love interest. It feels very, very different. It's not my favorite. Like book 2, they were so good. They were so good. And this one, it just feels like there's this level of comfortability between them that feels odd because they haven't like been together for very long. Like it just feels odd, if that makes sense. And then the other thing, and I don't know if it's writing style, it's definitely not my favorite writing style, but the other element to these characters that I think is weird is that Lore is around her siblings a lot, and her love interest are just like on top of each other, like so thirsty for each other all the time. And it's really weird. Like her siblings will walk into the room and they'll be like, hey, whoa, like what's going on? And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I have to force myself away from like this person. And I'm like, that is so weird. Like people aren't on top of each other in front of like their friends and family. Like it's just weird the way that they talk about like sexuality around each other. And then there's also a scene in this book where, not spoilery, but like these two like guy friends are like doing things with women sitting like right next to each other. I am not a prude, like I get it, there's scenes where that makes sense. Stuff like that was done in A Kiss of Iron and like that series, The Shadows of Tenebra's Court by Claire Sager, but it felt different. Like in this book, it just feels like it's so frequent that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. This book felt like middle book syndrome because nothing has really happened. We've been introduced to a lot more POVs in this book, and that's kind of expanding our world a little bit, expanding our knowledge of the past a little bit. And we've basically just got some behind the scenes to like stuff that was happening in books 1 and 2. But to have an entire book dedicated to that where like nothing is really driving the plot forward, that's not my favorite thing in the whole world. I'm assuming it's because everything's gonna happen in the last book, but my argument would be, couldn't this have been a trilogy? But I did read more of The Goddess of last night. I still am not where I want to be. I think I made it to about 60%, so I read another 10% yesterday. I'm loving that book. I think I'm gonna order the physical copies. Oh my gosh, it comes out on March 5th of 2025. Okay, I don't have to wait too long, which is good, but I thought it was already out. Oh my gosh, okay, I cannot wait to finish this book. I'm so freaking excited. The second book is called Even in Death. Also, these covers are so good, like literally so good. We have officially finished Fate of the Sun King. I think I'm going to give it 3 stars. The end was very interesting. Parts of it, like one part in particular, reminded me a little bit of House of Flame and Shadow, which was like so funny to me. And then I am at 80% in The Goddess of. I read more of this last night. I only have about an hour and 30 minutes left in the ebook, and oh my gosh, I'm like actually upset that I have to wait until March for the second book to come out, because otherwise I would have absolutely read it in this week of Romantasy-thon, because today is the first day of Romantasy-thon when I'm finishing this vlog. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this. I think it might be a 5-star. I know, it might be a 5-star or like a 4.5. It depends on how it ends, but I am going to purchase these physical copies, like absolutely. I think I might wait until the second book officially comes out because I kind of want to get these both in hardcover. So yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm trying to think about what I can even say about The Goddess of. There are so many amazing like quotes in this. I think for me, I'm relating a lot to Naya's character, and like she goes through so much. Once things start happening, they don't stop happening. Also, her love story is absolutely incredible. I'm trying to find a couple highlights because some of these quotes just like hit you in the stomach. It's insane. Happiness was a mirage, and perhaps it was better for it to remain that way. Basking in its rays of light would only make the darkness that much colder. Naya's like at this point afraid of happiness, like afraid and suspicious when things are going too well, because she's so used to everything being ripped away from her in the most horrific way. Like, I feel like I'm not even making sense with this book anymore because I'm just that in love with it. You know, when you get to a point with a book where you're like, I'm just gushing about this, I'm talking a mile a minute because I am absolutely obsessed. The last quote I'll say, some people only cared until things became difficult, but Ronan K. Hale cared too much too deeply to let go. Like, she is finally finding someone to support her when things are getting too difficult to deal with. Usually everyone like abandons her when things are like getting too crazy, and she feels like she finally has someone to hold on to even when things are getting so rough. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So I'm gonna try to finish this today. I'm gonna start editing this vlog now. I'm hoping that I'll be able to squeeze in this last hour and a half into this vlog, but please just know, give The Goddess of a chance. Unfortunately, I did not finish The Goddess of. I'm going to finish it basically after I finish editing this vlog, but I want this vlog to go up on time. It's probably gonna be a 4.5 star if I had to guess, if I had to take a guess, but you can follow my Goodreads for a full review of The Goddess of, because I'm definitely going to write about it. I need more people to read this book, especially because right now it only has 149 reviews on Goodreads, which is so crazy because the writing has just gotten better and better. Like, even just reading this first book, I cannot wait for book 2. But I am here to give you one of the bonus prompts for Romantasy-a-thon. So the bonus prompts in Romantasy-a-thon just add a little bit of extra detail to your character. So with all of the prompts that you're reading, it's like building your Starfall ball. This just gives you a little bit more insight into the night when it arrives. So the bonus prompt, if you are reading the listen to an audiobook bonus prompt, then this is for you. Also, you can double up on any of the prompts, but you can double up on bonus prompts as well. All night you've heard gossips whispering about your date. Who do you think their date is? I bet they're no one. I heard they haven't spoken since they walked in. Enough. You turn to find a quiet place when your date appears next to you and pulls you onto the dance floor. The voice is quiet and the room turns to look at your first dance as the moon peeks behind a cloud and illuminates you both. The world fades and all you see are their eyes on yours. Happy Starfall Ball, besties. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please leave a little bow emoji in the comments. I will catch you down there and I will see you in my next one very soon. Toodles!